I'm gonna help you find some real accurate targets when you take your trades. So let's talk about something called liquidity. You're gonna hear this word liquidity a lot if you work with me, because it's really the heart of everything we do. So as the market moves, it's generating liquidity. Liquidity could be seen as pools of where people have stop losses. So wherever there's a large pool of people's stop losses, those become targets for the market makers. And understand that the market makers are the ones who's really making the massive moves in the market, right? Like people like me and you are probably not moving millions of dollars per trade. But these institutions, they're moving literally millions per trade. So they're the ones who cause, massive moves in the market, such as these. That's not really me or you buying a call option that's going to create that type of movement. So I rather follow their footprint than follow the footprint of people like me and you. So what I notice about market makers is they tend to target pools of people's stop losses. And so what you want to do is know how to recognize where there are pools of stop losses. So I'm about to tell you those what those pools look like. So anytime there is a pivot point in the market, that means there's a pool of stop losses at that pivot point. That's the first place, just to know. So yeah, you're gonna notice, of course, there's a ton of pivot points all over the place. There's a pivot right here. There's a pivot right there. There's a pivot right there. There's one right there, right here, here, so on and so forth. There's pivots everywhere now. How do you know when they're going to go for these liquidity pools? That's something that I teach deeply in my mentorship, knowing when price is going for which pool. But right now, I just want to help you identify pools in the first place. So once again, at any given pivot point, there's a pool of stop losses. Why is that? Oftentimes, when people learn how to trade, they place they're taught to place stop losses at the previous pivot point. So let's say they got into puts right here and price started to drop to the downside. What most people are going to do is put a stop loss at where my green line is, because it's basically saying if we're bearish, we shouldn't come back above that high. Remember, I told you in market structure, typically, if we're bearish, lower highs should hold in the market, meaning those lower highs should not be invalidated. Right? Price should stay below those lower highs in a downtrend. So if a person's in puts or they're in sells, they don't want to see price come back above that. So they would set a stop loss on top of that high. And so that's how this works. That's why most people place stop losses in the same areas, because most people come in learning that foundational knowledge of market structure. I told you I tend to graduate my mentees from market structure, and we have a way more efficient way of staying on the correct side of the market. But it's definitely foundational. So that's why I felt the need to teach it to you as a beginner. Now, once again, pivot points. Now, another place to recognize liquidity is when you see relatively equal lows as well as relatively equal highs. Those are key areas to spot liquidity. Why is that? The reason that's key areas to spot liquidity is because most people come into the game learning about something called support and resistance. Now, I'm a person who absolutely despises support and resistance. Despise it. Horrible strategy, in my humble opinion. Why is that? Because most people come into the game learning support and resistance, but most people are not profitable traders. So why would I follow them? I trade in the way that institutions tend to trade. So institutions tend to what we call engineer these areas, meaning bait people to thinking something is a support level, or bait people into thinking something is a resistance level. And then once people believe in that area, the market makers in their evil ways tend to go and target that area. So for example, people may think because this would be considered a resistance level, that when price comes back here, it's going to reject. Nah, actually, once it's engineered, when price comes back here, it's going to blast through it. Once again, you need to understand signatures in price action to know when it's going to blast through it versus reject it. That's what I teach, but nonetheless, it's important to at least know what they look like. So if you never heard of support and resistance, I'm going to briefly explain it for you. So people tend to call something a support level when it's literally supporting price. So for example, you notice how price bounced at this white line twice, right? It bounced right here and it bounced right here. They call that like a two-touch rule. Some people do a three-touch rule. If they notice that price bounced on the same level two or three times, they tend to call it a support level. And so their expectation is when price comes back here the next time, it's going to bounce for a third time. What I teach is understanding when they're going to target this level, because next time they go through it, yeah, you see what happened. Yeah, we not bouncing here. You can see that price clearly absolutely plummeted through that level. So whoever believed this as a support level, they tried to take calls or they tried to take buys right here. They had the expectation of this happening, but you see what actually happened in real life. Price blasted through that area. That's what I teach. I don't teach to take support bounces. And then the same thing with resistance. So resistance can be seen as relatively equal highs. So if they notice that price is rejecting a certain area, a couple times to a few times, they think that it'll reject it the very next time we get there. But once again, I don't teach that. I know how to know when price is going to blast through that level versus reject it for the third or fourth time. So anytime we see relatively equal highs, I understand that to be a resistance level. So even right here, you can see there's relatively equal highs right here, relatively equal highs right here. You see that price makes a move up to stop out everybody who has stop losses right there. Once they stop those people out, that's like putting gas in their car. They're taking the money that they got from the stop losses and they're applying it to the money they meet. They're applying it to the move that they're making to the downside. So you can see that they use the money from the stop losses from stopping people out to fuel their move to the downside. And you can see that they got a lot of gas in that car because they absolutely dumped really hard to the downside after consuming everybody's stop losses at those relatively equal highs. So definitely want to spot areas of relatively equal highs and relatively equal lows. Um, Another place to kind of see liquidity is if you're noticing a trend line building up. So you can see that price made a trend line right here. If you're not familiar with trend lines, what people do is they draw diagonal lines. And if they're getting multiple touches on a diagonal line, they consider that to be a trend line, especially if they get 3 touches on the same line. Once again, that's a strategy that the market makers do to make people think that something is a valid bounce point. And then next thing you know, they absolutely take that area back. So this would be considered a trend line. You got multiple bounces, whether you take this bounce or these 3 bounces, it doesn't really matter. What we call that as an engineering of liquidity, meaning once again, they baited people to think that price would continue bouncing on this diagonal line until guess what? It doesn't, until it does not. So I wait for the move to the downside rather than playing these little bounces because this move is a lot cleaner, a lot easier to hold, and a lot more massive. So which move would you rather take? Would you rather take this staggered, nasty movement to the upside, or would you rather take this clean move to the downside? Because remember, in trading, we make money in both ways. You could make money to the upside, but you could also make even better money here to the downside. Because I would make a price prediction that price is going to drop off to the downside here because I noticed that we were engineering liquidity into the move, meaning I noticed that they were baiting people to think that price will continue to bounce on this diagonal line. Okay, so that's something called liquidity right there. It's important to know how to recognize liquidity. And then once you combine it with certain strategies, those things become price targets. So for example, I see this pivot point right here as liquidity. For me and my strategy, I use something called fair value gaps. So I would use this fair value gap right here as an area to take puts on or to take sells on. And then I would target this yellow line. So I would get into puts inside of this rectangle. And then I would take profit after we run this rectangle, after we run the yellow line. So I'm getting it right here and I'm exiting after we run that yellow line. And honestly, obviously I would continue to hold because this trade just kept dropping off. So I'll make a lot more money than I even anticipated. So that's a little peek into my strategy.